Dr. Visick, I hope you're doing well. Tyler Koch coming at you with my behavior change proposal. I'm going to do a PowerPoint so I can talk and show some pictures so it's not just my ugly mug the whole time. Hope you enjoy. So my goal for my behavior change proposal was to replace the added sugar I had in my diet, which was pretty substantial. Replace that with fruit, obviously a much more healthy form of sugar. And going into this proposal, back when we started, I pretty religiously ate 2 Snickers bars a week and a pint of ice cream. I used it kind of as a reward for myself for being in the gym. I say, hey, I'll pick up a Snickers bar at 7-Eleven, I'll pick up a pint of ice cream for the weekend. So that was kind of what I was doing. What I decided to do week 1 as my short-term goal leading into this behavior change was to replace one of the Snickers bars I ate with an apple. Week 2 continued the same trend, so I'd replace one of the Snickers bars I ate with an apple, and then I'd replace the other Snickers bars, the second Snickers bar I would eat, with an apple as well. So I was replacing both Snickers bar with an apple and still eating my pint of ice cream. Into week 3, again, the same trend continues with replacing my Snickers bars with an apple, and then with my pint of ice cream, I actually replaced that with 2 pieces of fruit, a banana and an orange. So by week 3, I had replaced all of the added sugar I had in the form of candy and ice cream, and replaced those with fruit. And then as I transitioned into week 4, kind of the final week, I'd hit my long-term goal, right, what I want my long-term goal to be, of replacing the both Snickers bars and the pint of ice cream with 4 pieces of fruit. The goal here, using the SMART acronym, how I set my goal, it was specific in the fact that I knew exactly what I wanted to replace added sugar with sugar from fruits and vegetables. It was measurable. You had us throughout this lovely 4-week plan, which made life a lot easier. It was adjustable in the fact that if I couldn't get a specific apple or a specific piece of fruit I wanted, I could change that, or if I had a hankering for something other than a Snickers bar, I could replace, again, that hankering with fruit, which was the idea. It was realistic because for me, if I'm going to do something, generally I'm a cold turkey kind of guy, and so by having these steps, a short-term goal in week 1, a short-term goal in week 2, and etc., really made it a lot more feasible for me. Again, time-oriented, the same example, having this over 4 weeks, having goals within the week. And it was self-determined, something I chose, something that you obviously helped me with a lot. Some of the benefits to this goal and why I chose the goal kind of go together is because I'm really concerned about my performance in the gym and being able to be strong, being able to be quick as a CrossFitter. That's really our goal, is to be equally fit in everything we do. And I was concerned when thinking about it that this added sugar was not really helping me with my goal and could be deterring me from getting there. And so that was really why I chose it. And I'd say overall in this goal, I did very well. I stuck with it. The first week was challenging. But after that, after I got in the mindset of saying, hey, this is going to be good for me, my goals and eating less added sugar are nice and aligned. And so that's why I wanted to do it. So with my System 1 and System 2 thinking, it might have been a little bit different than other people, but my System 1 said, the goal is going to be pretty easy, right? 4 weeks long, replacing some sugar with some other sugar, still get my sweet fix, not so bad. My System 2 thinking came in and said, based on past experiences, which I'm going to show on the next slide, based on those, this might be a little bit more challenging. And so I found that my System 1 and System 2 worked a little bit differently than I initially thought they would, and maybe than some other people's thinking would have gone. So for me, I'm all about learning from past experiences and trying to do better. And as a younger lad than I am now, I had a goal in high school of trying to hit 500, which is really challenging to do. And I suffered from false hope syndrome, and I had a lot of cognitive illusions, a lot of unrealistic expectations, a lot of inflated expectations about what was going to happen. And a lot of these sources of failure, when we talk about those, the speed, the ease, the effects, the amount, right? Trying to change too much at once, thinking it's going to be faster than it is, thinking it's going to be easier than it is, thinking that my changes are going to have this huge impact. I didn't take those into account. I didn't know about them. I didn't take them into account. My confidence was through the roof because I was young and, as the saying goes, full of piss and vinegar. And I definitely fell into the cycle of failing, interpreting, trying again over and over and over. And while it made me better than I was before, I constantly felt as I was failing because I had this inhibitory goal of 500 or bust, right? There's no middle ground. And so I really tried to learn from those past experiences when dealing with this goal. And so I think I didn't really suffer that much from false hope syndrome, which means I might be suffering from it, right? That kind of cyclical thing. But I really tried to take all of that into account, and I felt overall I did a really good job with understanding myself, understanding my expectations, and kind of riding this nice gentle wave. So this behavior change was something I had thought about doing before for a while, so I would definitely begin in the contemplation stage. And in this stage, using these processes of change, I did a lot of consciousness raising, did a lot of kind of fact-checking, understanding the consequences, mostly positive, of my behavior change. And as I moved into the preparation stage, I did a little bit of self-reevaluation. Again, as I talked about before, deciding that I'm an athlete, and in order to be the best athlete I can be, I need to see if not eating or replacing added sugar with fruit is going to help me be a better athlete. And so self-evaluation was key, as well as having this helping relationship with my girlfriend, who, when I told her about my goal, was very supportive and decided to help me out and to help me, toe the line, so to speak. And obviously I'm still in the action phase. It's been under 6 months, so I haven't quite gotten to maintenance, but still in this action phase. Done a lot of social liberation for me, because I found these new opportunities that support my behavior. If I go somewhere and say, hey, I can get a piece of fruit, or this is a healthier option to what I was having before. And so that for me has been really enlightening and really helpful, because it's not, the sugar isn't, it's not a crutch anymore. It's not my reward. I can replace this added sugar reward that I had before with something that's healthier and something that's going to be better for me. I did counter conditioning in the action phase as well, replacing, again, added sugar with the fruit. And in the action phase, helping relationships definitely transitioned there as well. My girlfriend, like I said before, kept me online, kept me on track, kept food out of the house. That was bad for me, and the journey wouldn't have been possible, or I wouldn't have been as successful without her. I would say that overall my self-efficacy and my decisional balance stayed mostly the same. I understood, as we talked about before in the last slide, what I was getting into, so that stayed the same. The real temptation I had was I had a friend who came to town, and he wanted to go out to eat, and so we went out to eat, and he got dessert, and I got a fruit plate, and let me tell you, that sucked. I was really happy to have stayed with my goal. At the same time, definitely a challenge. If we're talking about motivation from the self-determination theory, I've always been very autonomously oriented. That'll stay the same throughout my entire life. I love creativity. I like doing what I want to do. As far as this continuum goes, I would say when I started this process, I was very extrinsically motivated. Specifically with introjected regulation, I felt kind of guilty for eating the way I did. I wanted to eat better. I moved throughout this process and identified regulation. Healthy people eat less sugar. I'm a healthy person, or I eat less added sugar, and I'm a healthy person, so I'm going to do that. And I think I've now gone to the intrinsic motivation phase where, I'm a person who eats healthy, and I eat less sugar because I want to, because I know it's good for me. And so that was kind of the change I went through, which was pretty neat, something I didn't expect, but something I'm proud of. My future plans for my behavior change is largely I'm going to keep it, but I am gonna reward myself with one day of eating sweets as kind of a reward for working hard. It won't be as much added sugar, nearly as much as I had before, and still continuing to eat lots of fruit and replacing a lot of what I used to eat with fruit. But I'm going to keep in there a day of a little bit of debauchery, keep me sane. So now we're on the final slide, lessons learned. So for me, I learned that I'm autonomously oriented, and I need to find jobs and find careers that allow me to express myself without really being micromanaged. And the other thing I learned was that if I'm going to set a goal, I need a self-monitoring form. That was clutch when doing this goal. That was really important for me, and it helped keep me on track. When applying this forward, it's going to help me understand in my career, because I do a lot of training, and understanding how people are oriented. So should I train them as an individual? Should I train them in a group? Or are they just really unmotivated and kind of need something else to get them in the gym? And so that's really going to help me. And then finally, what I learned is going to allow me to help other people set goals for themselves, to be smart about setting goals, right? Smart. And to understand the process behind that.